The miracle does not always come to the person who worries the loudest, tries the hardest, or explains themselves until their heart feels empty. Sometimes the miracle flows first to the one who becomes quiet enough to receive it. And this may feel like a strange thing to hear, especially if you have spent so much of your life believing that your concern is what keeps everything together. You may have believed that if you stopped thinking about it, stopped checking, stopped reacting, stopped holding the situation in the tight grip of your attention, then somehow life would forget what you need. You may have believed that peace was something you earned after the problem was solved, after the person changed, after the money arrived, after the door opened, after the apology came, after the sign appeared. But what if peace is not the reward at the end? What if peace is the doorway? Let that settle for a moment, because there is a kind of calm that is not laziness. There is a kind of quiet that is not surrendering your dream. There is a kind of stillness that is not weakness, not avoidance, not pretending, not spiritual bypassing. It is the calm of someone who has finally remembered that their energy is sacred. It is the calm of someone who has stopped placing their inner world into the hands of every passing mood, every delayed answer, every uncertain outcome, every person who does not yet know how to meet them with tenderness. You have been giving so much of yourself away through reaction, not because you are foolish, not because you are dramatic, not because you are too sensitive. You have reacted because you cared. You have worried because your heart wanted safety. You have overthought because some younger part of you learned that if you could predict pain before it arrived, maybe you could protect yourself from it. You have explained yourself because you wanted to be understood. You have chased because somewhere inside you feared that what was meant for you might disappear if you stopped proving you deserved it. And I want you to hear this gently. Your desire is not the problem. Your sensitivity is not the problem. Your longing is not the problem. The exhaustion begins when your nervous system starts believing that constant emotional movement is the same as power. When you believe that being bothered means being invested. When you believe that losing your peace is proof that you care. When you believe that calmness means you have given up. But calmness is not giving up. Calmness is returning. It is returning to your breath, returning to your body, returning to the quiet place within you that existed before the world told you to hurry, perform, defend, compare, and prove. It is returning to the sacred center where your worth is not negotiated by someone else's behavior, where your future is not ruined by one delay, where your spirit is not shaken by every small wave on the surface of life. Notice your shoulders as you hear this, not forcing them down, not correcting yourself, simply noticing. Perhaps they have been holding more than you realized. Perhaps your jaw has been carrying conversations you never got to finish. Perhaps your chest has been waiting for permission to soften. You are allowed to soften now. You are allowed to stop fighting invisible battles inside your own body. You are allowed to become unavailable to chaos, even while remaining open to life. This is the misunderstood beauty of being unbothered. It does not mean you stop loving. It does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become cold, detached, or above human feeling. It means you no longer allow every outer movement to become an inner emergency. It means you stop confusing someone else's confusion with your responsibility. It means you stop letting one closed door convince you that the universe has forgotten your name. Your heart already knows this. There have been moments when you stayed calm, not because everything was perfect, but because something in you knew that panic would not create clarity. There have been moments when you chose silence, not because you had nothing to say, but because your peace was more valuable than being pulled into another cycle. There have been moments when you did not chase, did not beg, did not explain yourself again. And even if it felt strange at first, a small part of you felt free. That freedom is not accidental. That freedom is your energy coming back home. And when your energy comes back home, miracles have space to move. Not always in the theatrical way the mind imagines. Not always with instant results, sudden messages, dramatic reversals, or visible signs. Sometimes the first miracle is that you sleep a little more deeply. Sometimes the first miracle is that the thought no longer pierces you with the same sharpness. Sometimes the first miracle is that your hand no longer reaches for the phone. Sometimes it is the quiet dignity of not responding from a wounded place. Sometimes it is the breath you take before you decide. Sometimes it is the sudden realization that you are not as trapped as you felt yesterday. These are miracles too. Small, holy rearrangements. The beginning of a new inner climate. You have spent so much of your life believing that if you stop reacting, everything might fall apart. And perhaps that belief did not begin with this current situation. Perhaps it began long ago, in a home where you had to read the room before you could relax. Perhaps it began in a relationship where love felt unpredictable. Perhaps it began during a season when life changed so quickly that your body decided vigilance was safer than trust. So when someone says, "Stay calm," a part of you may feel unseen. Because calm has not always been easy for you. Calm has sometimes felt unsafe. Calm has sometimes felt like not preparing for disappointment. Calm has sometimes felt like standing still while everything you care about slips away. I see that. This journey has not been simple for you. You have tried to be peaceful while carrying responsibilities that would make anyone tired. You have tried to be spiritual while still being human. You have tried to trust divine timing while watching other people receive what you prayed for. You have tried to affirm abundance while checking your account. You have tried to believe in love while healing from the kind of disappointment that does not announce itself loudly, but sits quietly in the ribs. And yet here you are, still listening, still open, still willing to return to yourself. That is not weakness. That is devotion. There is a strength in you that has survived many versions of uncertainty. Not the loud kind of strength that needs to be admired. Not the kind that performs resilience for others. A quieter strength. The kind that gets up again. The kind that keeps a small candle lit inside. The kind that says, even after all this, perhaps life can still be kind to me. And yes, life can still be kind to you. Not because you force it, not because you manipulate energy perfectly, not because you never feel fear again, but because kindness is not outside the design of your life. Blessing is not outside the field of your possibility. Support is not something you must become frantic to deserve. You do not have to earn miracles through emotional exhaustion. You do not have to prove your faith by suffering loudly. You do not have to keep checking the soil every few minutes to see whether the seed is growing. A seed does not break open because someone panics above it. It breaks open because something ancient and intelligent inside it knows when to soften, when to split, when to rise. And in the dark soil, where nothing seems visible yet, life is not absent. Life is preparing. Perhaps this is what calm energy remembers. Preparation is still movement. Silence is not abandonment. Waiti, Nang is not punishment. And what is meant to bloom does not need your fear in order to find the light. Take a slow breath here if your body welcomes it. Let the breath move through the chest, the belly, the back of the body. Not as a technique to make something happen, but as a small act of returning. Your body has been listening to your thoughts for so long. Let it hear something gentler now. You are safe to return to yourself. You are safe to stop rehearsing disaster. You are safe to place this situation down for a moment without betraying your desire. There is a difference between caring and carrying. Caring is tender. Carrying becomes heavy. Caring keeps the heart open. Carrying turns the heart into a storage room for everyone else's choices, timelines, wounds, moods, and unfinished growth. Caring says, this matters to me. Carrying says, this is mine to control. And so much of your fatigue has come from carrying what was never meant to live inside you. Someone else's silence, someone else's delay, someone else's opinion, someone else's inability to see your worth, someone else's confusion about what they want, someone else's pace, someone else's fear. You can care without carrying. You can love without losing yourself. You can desire without becoming desperate. You can wait without becoming consumed. You can allow life to move without standing guard over every detail. This is important to hear because many people misunderstand calm energy. They think it means pretending not to want anything. They think it means acting above the human ache of longing. They think it means becoming so detached that nothing touches them. But the calm we are speaking of here is not emotional numbness. It is emotional sovereignty. It is the ability to feel something deeply without handing it the keys to your whole inner house. It is the ability to notice fear without making fear your spiritual teacher. It is the ability to hear the mind's questions without letting the mind become the only voice in the room. It is the ability to say, "Yes, this matters to me, and still, I will not abandon myself while it unfolds." That sentence alone can change the atmosphere inside you. This matters to me, and still, I will not abandon myself while it unfolds. Let that become a soft place to rest. Because you have abandoned yourself in the waiting before. Not intentionally, not cruelly, but through constant checking, through imagining the worst, through comparing your path to another person's path, through shrinking your day around one answer, through making your mood dependent on a sign, through letting your peace rise and fall with someone else's attention. You may have called it love. You may have called it ambition. You may have called it faith. But somewhere deep inside, it felt like losing touch with yourself. And now something in you is ready to live differently. Have you noticed how life feels different when you do not immediately react? The outer situation may be he's same, but something inside you has space. A message comes, and you do not rush to answer from fear. A delay happens, and you do not instantly make it a verdict. A person misunderstands you, and you do not spend the whole night building a courtroom inside your mind. A desire has not arrived yet, and you do not turn the absence into proof that you are forgotten. This is not small. This is spiritual maturity. This is the moment your energy stops scattering. And when your energy stops scattering, it starts gathering. It gathers in your voice. It gathers in your choices. It gathers in the way you walk away from conversations that feed the old wound. It gathers in the way you stop auditioning for love. It gathers in the way you let silence remain silence without decorating it with fear. It gathers in the way you wake up and choose your own life before checking whether the world has approved you today. That gathered energy becomes a quiet magnetism, not the kind that performs, not the kind that tries to impress, the kind that simply is. You have felt this in others before. Someone who does not need to dominate a room, yet somehow brings peace into it. Someone who does not argue for their value, yet their presence is unmistakable. Someone who does not chase, yet life seems to meet them in unexpected ways. Their calm is not emptiness, it is fullness. They are not unbothered because nothing matters. They are unbothered because they no longer make everything mean danger. This is available to you too, not as a personality change, not as a mask, not as a performance of being above it all. It is available as a homecoming. What if being unbothered is not the absence of feeling, but the return of your energy to its rightful home? Your rightful home is not in another person's reaction. Your rightful home is not in an outcome that has not arrived yet. Your rightful home is not in the imagined future where everything is finally settled. Your rightful home is here, in the breath you are breathing now, in the body that has carried you through so much, in the quiet awareness that can witness thoughts without becoming every thought, in the steady truth that your worth remains whole even while life is unfinished. This is where miracles begin to feel possible again. Because miracles do not always enter through tension. Often they enter through openness, and openness is very difficult when the body is braced for impact. Openness is very difficult when the mind is scanning for betrayal. Openness is very difficult when the heart believes it must keep knocking on a locked door to prove it deserves shelter. So calm energy is not passive. Calm energy prepares the inner room. It clears the noise. It softens the grip. It releases the need to control the root. It allows intuition to be heard again. It helps you notice the door that is opening quietly while you are no longer screaming at the one that closed. And perhaps that is one of the greatest hidden gifts of staying unbothered. You stop being hypnotized by one path. You begin to see again. You begin to sense again. You begin to hear the gentle guidance that could not reach you through the storm of your own fear. There is guidance in calm that cannot be accessed through panic. There is wisdom in the body that cannot speak while you are constantly rushing it. There is a subtle knowing that rises when you are no longer demanding that life explain itself on your timeline. This does not mean you never act. It means you act from alignment instead of alarm. It means you do not send the message because silence scared you. You send it because your heart is clear. It means you do not make the decision because you are trying to escape discomfort. You make it because truth has become steady inside you. It means you do not walk away to punish someone. You walk away because your peace has shown you where you no longer belong. It means you do not stay because fear says nothing better will come. You stay only where your spirit can breathe. And if your spirit cannot breathe, your body will tell you. It will tighten. It will ache. It will become tired in a way sleep does not fully repair. It will keep whispering through the throat, the stomach, the shoulders, the heart, not to frighten you, not to shame you, but to bring you back into relationship with yourself. Perhaps your body has been asking for calm longer than your mind has been willing to admit. Perhaps your fatigue is not only from what happened, but from how often you have had to leave yourself to manage it. Take that in gently. You do not have to blame yourself for the ways you survived. Every reaction once had a reason. Every anxious pattern once believed it was protecting you. Every urge to chase, check, explain, and control began as an attempt to feel safe. So we do not meet these parts of you with judgment. We meet them with compassion. We say, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I am learning another way now." This is how calm begins. Not by attacking the anxious part, by lovingly updating it. The part of you that panics needs reassurance, not punishment. The part of you that overthinks needs presence, not criticism. The part of you that wants to react needs to be held long enough to remember that not every feeling requires immediate movement. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, not forever, just long enough for your soul to speak before your wound does. Pause before you answer the message that activates the old fear. Pause before you decide that a delay means rejection. Pause before you make someone else's mood the center of your day. Pause before you chase what has not chosen clarity. Pause before you give your peace away to a thought that has no proof. In that pause, something returns. Your dignity, your discernment, your breath, your connection to the present moment. And perhaps, quietly, your miracle begins there. Not because the pause controls the outer world, but because the pause stops the inner world from collapsing. And when your inner world no longer collapses, you become available to possibilities that panic could not perceive. You begin to notice that the person who did not respond is not the whole universe. The opportunity that did not open is not the end of your abundance. The plan that changed is not proof that life is against you. The uncomfortable emotion moving through you is not a prophecy. It is weather. It is passing through. You are the sky. You have mistaken yourself for the storm many times, but you are the sky. The storm can move. The wind can rise. The clouds can gather. The rain can fall. And still the sky is not destroyed by what passes through it. This is the energy of being unbothered, not untouched, undestroyed, not indifferent, rooted, not numb, wide enough to hold the weather without becoming it. And when you begin to live from that wideness, you stop negotiating with every storm. You stop asking every emotion for permission to be at peace. You stop making fear the president of your inner life. You start letting calm have a voice. Calm says, we can wait. Calm says, we can breathe. Calm says, we do not need to answer from pain. Calm says, we are still loved even here. Calm says, what is ours does not require us to become unrecognizable to receive it. This is where the title becomes more than a phrase. Stay unbothered. Miracles flow to calm energy. Not because calm energy is morally superior, not because the universe rewards emotional suppression, but because calm energy is receptive energy. Calm energy is clear energy. Calm energy is the field where you can hear, choose, receive, release, and recognize what is truly aligned. When you are constantly bothered, your attention becomes fragmented. A little piece of you goes to what they said. Another piece goes to what they did not say. Another piece goes to what might happen tomorrow. Another piece goes to what happened 5 years ago. Another piece goes to the version of you that thinks you should be further ahead by now, and then you wonder why you feel so tired. Your energy is spread across too many imagined emergencies. No wonder peace feels distant. No wonder receiving feels difficult. No wonder your intuition feels quiet. But when you gather yourself back, gently, piece by piece, without shame, everything inside becomes more coherent. You begin to stand in one place again. You begin to feel the difference between a true signal and a fear echo. You begin to know which doors feel nourishing and which doors only activate your old hunger to be chosen. This clarity is a miracle. This self-return is a miracle. This refusal to let chaos live rent-free inside your sacred mind is a miracle. And the more you practice it, the less you need the world to behave perfectly before you feel whole. There is a kind of calm that does not come from everything being perfect, but from no longer abandoning yourself. Each time something outside you changes, that is the calm we are cultivating here. Not fragile calm, not calm that disappears the moment someone says the wrong thing, not calm that depends on ideal conditions. A deeper calm, a practiced calm, a compassionate calm, a calm that says, I am allowed to feel this, and I am also allowed not to be ruled by it. Feel the power in that. You are allowed to feel this, and you are also allowed not to be ruled by it. Your humanity remains, your softness remains, your heart remains. But the throne inside you is no longer handed over to every reaction. You sit there again. You return to the throne of your own being. And from that place, you begin to bless your life differently. Not with desperate requests, not with frantic bargaining, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that energy matters. Someone who knows that the way you dwell within yourself becomes the atmosphere through which you meet the world. This does not mean every thought creates an instant event. It does not mean you have to fear your fear. It does not mean you need to monitor yourself into perfection. That would only create another kind of tension. What it means is gentler than that. It means your inner climate affects what you can perceive, what you can choose, what you can allow, what you can stop feeding, and what you are available to receive. A frantic mind often chooses from survival. A calm heart can choose from wisdom. A frantic mind asks, how do I make this happen now? A calm heart asks, what is aligned with my peace? A frantic mind says, if this does not happen, I am not safe. A calm heart says, I am safe enough to meet what unfolds. A frantic mind reaches. A calm heart receives. And yes, there are times when action is needed. There are times when boundaries must be spoken. There are times when a decision must be made, a conversation must happen, a door must be closed, a new step must be taken. Calm energy does not mean sitting still while life asks you to move. Calm energy means you move without abandoning your center. You speak without attacking yourself. You leave without hatred. You stay without self-betrayal. You wait without worshiping the outcome. You desire without kneeling before the desire as though it is your source. Your source is deeper. Your source is not the person, the message, the job, the number, the approval, the opportunity, the timeline, the result. These may be beautiful channels, they may be meaningful blessings, they may be part of your path, but they are not your source. When you remember this, you become less afraid. And when you become less afraid, your energy changes. You stop clinging to one form as though love can only arrive through that form. You stop clinging to one plan as though abundance can only enter through that plan. You stop clinging to one answer as though peace can only come from that answer. You become available to the way life may be wiser than your fear. What if the delay is not denial? What if the silence is not the final truth? What if the closed door is not punishment? What if the space you are in right now is not emptiness, but clearing? These questions are not meant to make you wait forever for what harms you. They are not meant to keep you attached to confusion. They are meant to loosen the panic that says everything must be understood immediately or you cannot rest. You are allowed to rest before you understand. You are allowed to be calm before the evidence changes. You are allowed to feel supported before the outer proof arrives. This is not pretending. This is practicing. And practice is how a new inner reality becomes familiar. At first, staying unbothered may feel unnatural. You may be used to responding quickly, checking repeatedly, explaining intensely, scanning for signs, reading into tone, imagining endings, preparing defenses, and replaying conversations. So when you choose calm, the old pattern may say, "Aren't we supposed to do something?" And you can answer softly, "We are doing something. We are returning to peace." Returning to peace is not nothing. It is a sacred action. It is an energetic decision. It is a nervous system prayer. It is your body learning that safety does not always come from control. It is your spirit learning that faith does not always feel dramatic. It is your mind learning that not every question deserves to become a spiral. Perhaps the old version of you believed that being bothered kept you connected. But now you are learning that peace can keep you connected to something higher, something wiser, something less frantic, something that does not need to shout to be real. And when you are connected to that, you become less easily manipulated by urgency. You stop letting every notification become a command. You stop letting every silence become a sentence. You stop letting every comparison become a wound. You stop letting every delay become a verdict. This is how emotional freedom begins. Not in one grand moment, in 100 small refusals to abandon yourself. You refuse to check again when checking only feeds anxiety. You refuse to explain again when your truth has already been spoken. You refuse to shrink because someone cannot recognize your fullness. You refuse to make fear sacred. You refuse to hand the steering wheel to panic. And each refusal is also a yes. Yes to your peace. Yes to your dignity. Yes to your body. Yes to your divine timing. Yes to the possibility that life can meet you when you are not chasing it down. Somewhere deep inside, You have always known there is another way to live. You have seen glimpses of it in your own life. A morning when you woke up and did not immediately reach for worry. A walk where the air touched your face and, for a few minutes, nothing needed to be solved. A moment when you released someone in your heart and suddenly felt lighter. A day when you stopped forcing an answer and the answer came naturally. A time when you chose yourself quietly and the world did not end. These moments were not accidents. They were previews. They were your soul showing you what becomes possible when your energy is no longer imprisoned by reaction. The first miracle of calm energy is not that life instantly becomes easier, but that you stop making every disturbance mean something about your worth. This is a tender teaching, because the ego, the wounded child, the anxious mind, the part of you that has been disappointed before, often makes meaning very quickly. Someone does not call, and the mind says, I am not important. A plan changes, and the mind says, nothing works for me. Someone succeeds, and the mind says, I am behind. A manifestation takes longer than expected, and the mind says, I am doing something wrong. An emotion rises, and the mind says, I am not healed enough. But what if none of that is the truth? What if a delayed response is simply a delayed response? What if a changed plan is simply a changed plan? What if another person's success is simply proof that good things can happen in the world? What if a longer timeline is not failure, but formation? What if an emotion rising is not evidence that you are unhealed, but evidence that your body trusts you enough to release what it has been holding? You see, the mind can turn anything into a story of unworthiness when it has not yet learned to rest. And this is why calm energy matters. Calm gives you the space to question the story before you live inside it. Without calm, the first meaning becomes the final meaning. With calm, you can pause and ask, is this true, or is this old pain speaking? That question is a doorway. Is this true, or is this old pain speaking? So much begins to loosen when you ask that with compassion, not with accusation, not with shame, not with the voice that says, why am I like this? But with the tenderness of someone placing a hand over the heart and saying, of course this hurts. And perhaps there is more to the story than fear can see. Perhaps there is more to the story than fear can see. That is a beautiful sentence to carry. Fear sees through a narrow window. Calm opens the curtains. Fear remembers every time something went wrong. Calm remembers that you survived. Fear says, protect yourself by closing. Calm says, protect yourself by returning. Fear says, you need certainty before you can breathe. Calm says, breathe, and clarity may come. This is not about defeating fear. Fear does not need to be your enemy. Fear is often a frightened messenger, but fear does not need to be your leader. You can listen without obeying. You can comfort without surrendering your whole life to it. When your nervous system begins to trust peace again, you no longer mistake urgency for guidance. This is one of the most important lessons on the path. Urgency can feel convincing. It speaks loudly. It creates pressure. It says, now, 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 fix it now, decide now, react now, make them understand now, secure the outcome now. And because urgency creates intensity, it can feel like truth. But not all intensity is truth. Sometimes intensity is an old wound being touched. Sometimes intensity is the body remembering a time when waiting felt dangerous. Sometimes intensity is the mind trying to escape uncertainty. Guidance has a different quality. Guidance may be firm, but it is not frantic. Guidance may ask you to move, but it does not usually make you hate yourself in the process. Guidance may challenge you, but it does not strip you of dignity. Guidance often comes with a quiet steadiness, a deep knowing, a sense that even if the step is difficult, it is clean. Urgency scrambles. Guidance clarifies. Urgency contracts. Guidance steadies. Urgency says, you are running out. Guidance says, come back. From here, you will know. Your calm energy helps you tell the difference. And this is why staying unbothered is not about ignoring life. It is about becoming intimate with your own inner signals. It is about knowing when you are moved by love and when you are moved by fear. It is about knowing when you are being guided and when you are being triggered. It is about knowing when to speak and when silence is the most respectful answer you can offer yourself. There are conversations you do not need to keep having with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. There are rooms you do not need to keep entering if every visit costs you your nervous system. There are timelines you do not need to keep worshiping if they make you feel like your life is failing. There are desires you do not need to squeeze so tightly that they can no longer breathe. There are versions of you that were built for survival, and you can thank them without letting them run the rest of your life. This is how calm becomes power. Soft power. Quiet power. The kind of power that does not need applause. The kind of power that can say no with love. The kind of power that can wait without collapsing. The kind of power that can receive without grabbing. The kind of power that can be misunderstood and still remain whole. You may have spent years trying to be chosen by people, opportunities, spaces, or outcomes that required you to leave your center. But something changes when you choose your center first. Something changes when your peace is no longer the price you pay for belonging. Something changes when you decide that no blessing meant for you will require you to become addicted to anxiety. Read that with your whole heart. No blessing meant for you will require you to become addicted to anxiety. You may have learned to confuse anxiety with devotion, but the universe does not need your suffering in order to know you are sincere. Love does not become more real because you lose sleep over it. Abundance does not become more possible because you panic. Healing does not happen faster because you criticize every tender place inside you. Spiritual growth does not ask you to live in constant self-surveillance. You are allowed to be sincere and peaceful. You are allowed to care and breathe. You are allowed to want something and still enjoy the sunlight coming through your window. You are allowed to be in process and still be blessed. This is where your energy starts becoming magnetic in a quieter way, not because you are forcing life to respond, but because you are no longer leaking your power into every passing shadow. Magnetic energy is often misunderstood. It is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It is not about appearing mysterious. It is not about becoming untouchable. It is not about using silence to manipulate others. True magnetism is wholeness. It is the feeling of someone who is deeply connected to themselves, someone who does not beg the world to define them, someone who can bless what leaves and welcome what arrives without making either one the entire measure of their worth. That kind of energy is felt. It is felt in your presence. It is felt in your timing. It is felt in your words. It is felt in the way you stop over-offering. It is felt in the way you stop filling every silence. It is felt in the way you no longer rush to make yourself smaller so others can stay comfortable. And life often responds differently to a person who has stopped abandoning themselves. Not because life is playing games, but because your choices begin to change. Your perception begins to change. Your standards begin to change. Your availability begins to change. You are no longer available for every old pattern, so different possibilities can finally reach you. Sometimes what we call a miracle is what becomes visible after we stop choosing against ourselves. A healthier conversation, a better opportunity, a sudden solution, a peaceful ending, an unexpected opening, a renewed sense of self, a quiet knowing that you are no longer the person who must chase what cannot meet you. These things may arrive gently. They may arrive gradually. They may arrive in forms you did not predict. But calm energy helps you recognize them. Panic often overlooks the subtle blessing because it is busy demanding the dramatic one. Have you ever received something good only after you stopped gripping it so tightly? Perhaps you finally let go of needing a person to respond, and your own peace returned before any message did. Perhaps you stopped obsessing over one opportunity and another path began to appear. Perhaps you stopped trying to fix someone's perception of you, and suddenly your own perception became clearer. Perhaps you stopped asking, "Why not me?" and began asking, "Where am I being guided now?" That shift matters. It changes the direction of your attention. And attention is life force. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. If your attention is constantly feeding what hurts, what is missing, what is delayed, what is unclear, then your energy begins to feel like it belongs to the wound. But when your attention returns to what steadies you, nourishes you, teaches you, and restores you, your energy begins to remember its own authority. This is not denial. It is devotion to your wholeness. You are not pretending the problem does not exist. You are refusing to let the problem become your identity. You are not pretending the desire does not matter. You are refusing to make the desire more sacred than your own soul. You are not pretending you are never hurt. You are refusing to let hurt decide your future before wisdom has spoken. That refusal is holy. That refusal is where calm energy becomes a sanctuary. And perhaps right now, there is something in your life asking for this exact sanctuary, something you have been holding too tightly, something you have been checking too often, something you have been trying to solve from the same nervous energy that created the exhaustion. Something that has taken up so much room in your mind that you have forgotten the sound of your own inner quiet. You do not have to drop it harshly. You do not have to force yourself to be over it. You do not have to shame yourself for still caring. Simply imagine loosening your hands just a little, enough for breath to enter, enough for grace to move, enough for your own spirit to whisper, I am still here, because you are still here. Beyond the waiting, you are still here. Beyond the outcome, you are still here. Beyond the ache, the uncertainty, the old story, the unanswered question, you are still here. And you are worthy of your own presence. So many people are waiting for a miracle while being absent from themselves. They are waiting for life to bring them peace while continuing to abandon the very place peace would have to land. They are waiting for love while speaking to themselves with harshness. They are waiting for abundance while living in constant inner scarcity. They are waiting for clarity while filling every quiet moment with noise. And again, we say this without blame. We have all done this in some form. We have all looked outside for what first needed to be welcomed inside. We have all mistaken the channel for the source. We have all believed that if the outer thing changed, then finally we would become gentle with ourselves. But what if you became gentle now? Not because everything is finished, because you deserve gentleness while it is unfinished. What if you stopped using uncertainty as a reason to punish yourself? What if you stopped withholding peace until life met every condition? What if the calm you have been waiting for is actually waiting for you to stop making it conditional? This is a profound turning point. Because when peace is conditional, the world controls it. When peace depends on the message, the money, the apology, the timing, the validation, the outcome, then your inner life becomes a puppet of circumstance. But when peace becomes a practice, something changes. You may still prefer certain outcomes. You may still hope. You may still feel. But you are no longer owned by every movement outside you. This is freedom. Not freedom from desire, freedom from being consumed by desire, not freedom from emotion, freedom from being ruled by emotion, not freedom from life, freedom to meet life without losing yourself. There is such beauty in this, and perhaps your body recognizes it even before your mind fully understands. Perhaps something inside you is exhaling. Perhaps a small part of you is saying, I am tired of fighting. I am tired of bracing. I am tired of living as though every moment is a test of whether I am loved. You are loved in the middle of this. You are loved before the answer. You are loved while learning calm. You are loved on the days you react and have to begin again. You are loved even when your peace feels far away. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming more available to yourself. And every time you return, even after spiraling, even after crying, even after checking again, even after forgetting your power for a moment, the return still counts. The return always counts. Do not underestimate the sacredness of beginning again. A river does not shame itself for bending. It does not say, I have failed because the path is not straight. It moves around stone, through valley, across distance, under sky. Its power is not in rigidity. Its power is in its ability to keep flowing. You are learning to flow like that, not forcing, not collapsing, flowing. And to flow, you must stop becoming entangled in every stone along the way. You must stop arguing with every bend in the river. You must stop deciding that a curve means you are off path. Sometimes the curve is the path. Sometimes the pause is the protection. Sometimes the redirection is the miracle before the miracle. Calm energy allows you to see this. When you are bothered by every bend, you cannot recognize the intelligence of the river. But when you breathe, when you soften, when you allow the movement to reveal itself, you may begin to understand that life has carried you through many turns before. You have already survived things you once thought would break you. You have already outgrown rooms you once begged to remain in. You have already been redirected from things that later revealed themselves as misaligned. You have already watched a disappointment become protection. You have already felt the quiet relief of not getting what your fear once demanded. So perhaps life has earned a little trust, not blind trust, embodied trust. The kind of trust that says, I will participate, I will listen, I will act when guided, and I will not destroy myself in the waiting. This is the trust of calm energy. It does not sleep through life. It does not ignore reality. It simply refuses to let fear become the loudest god in the room. As you practice staying unbothered, you begin to notice that the world can be loud while your spirit remains deeply, beautifully, privately still. This private stillness becomes one of your greatest treasures. It becomes a room inside you that no one else can enter without your permission. A room where you remember who you are. A room where you stop rehearsing arguments and start hearing your own truth. A room where your breath is enough to bring you back. A room where you are not performing calm for anyone. You are simply resting in the truth that you belong to yourself. And from that room, life looks different. You do not need to answer every provocation. You do not need to attend every emotional invitation. You do not need to open every door just because someone knocks with chaos in their hands. You do not need to prove that you are healing by never being triggered. You only need to return with love. Again and again. Return when your mind runs ahead. Return when the old wound speaks. Return when comparison tries to steal the beauty of your own timing. Return when the desire feels bigger than your faith. Return when silence feels personal. Return when life asks you to wait. Every return strengthens the calm field inside you. And over time, what once pulled you out of yourself begins to lose its grip. Not because you become hardened, but because you become rooted. Like a tree that has known storms and still deepens into the earth, you become less impressed by every wind. You do not curse the wind. You simply remember your roots. Your roots are your values. Your roots are your breath. Your roots are your spiritual truth. Your roots are the quiet practices that bring you back. Your roots are the memory that you have been guided before. Your roots are the decision not to negotiate your worth with temporary circumstances. The deeper the roots, the less every passing wind decides your direction. This is why calm energy feels miraculous. It changes the way you stand in your own life. It helps you stop living like a leaf at the mercy of every gust. It helps you remember that there is something in you connected to depth, to earth, to unseen nourishment, to a wisdom older than the moment that is troubling you. And once you feel that depth, even briefly, you begin to crave it more than drama. You begin to notice how exhausting it is to keep feeding the old chaos. You begin to notice that some conversations leave you scattered, while others return you to yourself. You begin to notice that certain habits are not harmless because they keep your nervous system in a loop of searching. You begin to notice that your peace is not fragile, but it does require your participation. Peace is a relationship. It deepens when you honor it. It fades when you keep betraying. Nang it for temporary relief. Checking may bring temporary relief. Reacting may bring temporary release. Explaining may bring temporary control. Chasing may bring temporary contact. But calm asks a deeper question. Does this lead me back to myself or further away? That question can guide so much. Does this thought lead me back to myself? Does this action lead me back to myself? Does this relationship lead me back to myself? Does this desire lead me back to myself? Does this waiting lead me back to myself, or have I turned it into a place of self-abandonment? Ask gently. The answer may not come as a dramatic revelation. It may come as a soft knowing in the body, a loosening, a tightening, a heaviness, a quiet yes, a quiet no, a sense of not this way, a sense of wait, a sense of speak, a sense of release, a sense of rest. Your body often knows before your mind has words, and calm energy helps you listen. When you are unbothered, you are not unreachable. You are reachable by truth instead of chaos. You are reachable by intuition instead of panic. You are reachable by love instead of fear. You are reachable by the present moment instead of every imagined catastrophe. That is a sacred kind of availability. You become less available to disturbance and more available to grace. You become less available to old loops and more available to new possibilities. You become less available to proving and more available to receiving. And perhaps this is what miracles flow toward, not perfection, but availability. A calm heart is available. A calm body is available. A calm mind is available. Not empty, not passive, available. Available to notice the next right step. Available to feel support. Available to receive kindness without suspicion. Available to stop pushing away the good because it feels unfamiliar. Available to let life be softer than the past taught you to expect. Some of you have been so trained by difficulty that ease feels suspicious. When something begins to flow, you tense. When someone is kind, you question it. When an opportunity opens, you search for what might go wrong. When peace arrives, you wait for the interruption. This is not because you are ungrateful. It is because your system learned to prepare for loss. So part of staying unbothered is learning to tolerate goodness, to let a peaceful moment remain peaceful without scanning for the catch, to let someone love you without immediately planning for abandonment, to let money arrive without instantly fearing it will leave, to let rest happen without guilt, to let silence be silence, to let joy be joy, to let the present moment be enough for a breath or two. This too is healing, and it may take practice. You may need to remind your body we are allowed to receive without bracing. You may need to whisper to the younger part of you, goodness is not a trick. You may need to place both feet on the floor and let the earth hold you while you learn that calm does not mean danger is coming. You are not behind for needing practice. You are human, and your humanity is welcome here. There is no spiritual prize for pretending to be beyond emotion. The miracle is not that you never feel disturbed. The miracle is that you learn how to come back with love. The miracle is that you no longer build a home inside the disturbance. The miracle is that you stop letting every wave convince you to abandon the shore. And perhaps the greatest miracle is this: you become the kind of person who can receive blessings without losing yourself in the waiting. Because waiting has changed you before. It has made you doubt. It has made you compare. It has made you bargain with life. It has made you shrink your joy until the outcome arrived. It has made you put your whole self on hold. But now, slowly, you are learning to wait differently. You wait with breath. You wait with dignity. You wait with a life still being lived. You wait with your hands open, not your nails dug into the moment. You wait while tending your own garden. You wait while speaking kindly to yourself. You wait while choosing what nourishes you now. You wait without making the waiting your identity. And this is when the waiting becomes less empty. It becomes a sacred interval, a space where you are being shaped, not punished, a space where your capacity expands, a space where you discover that you are not only worthy when something arrives, you are worthy while becoming. You are worthy in the middle, in the unfinished, in the not yet, in the quiet, in the day that looks ordinary, in the moment when nothing has visibly changed, but you choose peace anyway. That choice matters. It may not make headlines. No one may applaud it. The outer world may not immediately reflect it back. But inside, something begins to reorganize. A new pattern forms. A new way becomes possible. A new identity takes root. I am someone who can remain with myself. I am someone who does not have to chase chaos. I am someone who lets calm lead. I am someone who can desire and still be free. I am someone who receives without abandoning my peace. Let those words move through you slowly, not as pressure, not as a performance, simply as seeds. Some may land now, some may land later. Some may open in you days from now, when you are standing in the middle of a moment that used to pull you out of yourself, and suddenly you remember. I do not have to be bothered by this in the old way. That is how change often happens. Not as a lightning bolt, as remembrance. A small space opens between the trigger and the reaction. And in that space, your future changes direction. You may still feel the feeling. Your heart may still beat faster. Your mind may still offer the old script. But you are no longer asleep inside it. You can notice. You can breathe. You can choose. You can say, this is the old pattern asking to be repeated, and I am allowed to practice something new. That is a miracle of consciousness, that it is awakening in daily life, not only in meditation, not only in beautiful moments, but in the message you do not send from panic, in the story you do not believe without question, in the boundary you keep without hatred, in the breath you take before answering, in the peace you protect when the old world tries to pull you back into proving. This is where spiritual work becomes real. It becomes the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It becomes the way you hold your body when fear rises. It becomes the way you let a desire breathe. It becomes the way you choose not to turn every delay into rejection. It becomes the way you stop betraying your own calm for the illusion of control. And as you live this, even imperfectly, life begins to feel less like something you must wrestle into place and more like something you can participate in with trust. You still have dreams, you still have preferences, you still take steps, you still open doors, send applications, have conversations, make plans, create love, ask, offer, and build. But underneath it all, there is a softer current. I am not alone in this. I am not required to panic. I am allowed to be guided. I am allowed to receive in peace. And the more that current grows, the more you begin to recognize miracles that were once too quiet for your anxious mind to notice. The miracle of not reacting, the miracle of sleeping peacefully, the miracle of choosing yourself, the miracle of a new opportunity arriving after you released the old one, the miracle of a heart that no longer begs, the miracle of calm after years of storms, the miracle of becoming someone you can trust. Because that may be the deepest miracle of all. Not that everything outside you changes exactly on command, but that you change in a way that makes your life feel sacred again. You begin to trust yourself with your own feelings. You begin to trust yourself to leave what harms you. You begin to trust yourself to receive what nourishes you. You begin to trust yourself to wait without disappearing. And when you trust yourself, the world no longer feels quite as dangerous. You no longer need every person to validate your reality. You no longer need every outcome to confirm your worth. You no longer need every plan to unfold perfectly before you allow yourself one peaceful breath. You become your own safe place. Not the only safe place. Not in isolation. Not in separation from love, but as a foundation, a home inside yourself that you carry everywhere. From that home, you can love more cleanly. From that home, you can choose more wisely. From that home, you can release more gracefully. From that home, you can receive more fully, because you are no longer asking the blessing to rescue you from self-abandonment. You are meeting the blessing as someone already returning to wholeness. And that changes everything. The energy is different. The prayer is different. The waiting is different. The receiving is different. You are no longer saying, "Please give me this so I can finally be okay." You are saying, "I am learning to be okay within myself, and from this calm place, I welcome what is aligned." Feel how different that is. One comes from fear, the other comes from fullness. One clutches, the other opens. One demands, the other allows. And allowing is not weak. Allowing is one of the strongest movements of the soul. To allow life to unfold without constantly attacking the present moment. To allow yourself to be human without turning every feeling into failure. To allow blessings to arrive in forms that surprise you. to allow endings to be endings when they are, to allow beginnings to be gentle, to allow yourself to stop worshiping struggle. Somewhere along the way, you may have learned that struggle makes you worthy, that if something comes easily, it cannot be trusted, that if you are calm, you are not working hard enough, that if you are not anxious, you are not being responsible. But responsibility without peace becomes punishment. Care without boundaries becomes depletion. Faith without embodiment becomes performance. Desire without self-connection becomes hunger. You are being invited into another way, a calmer way, a wiser way. A way where you still honor your dreams, but you no longer sacrifice your nervous system on the altar of timing. This is where miracles flow more naturally, because your inner life is no longer at war with receiving. You are not pushing the good away through fear of losing it. You are not demanding that it arrive through one narrow doorway. You are not making your worth dependent on its speed. You are not abandoning the present for an imagined future. You are here. And here is where life can meet you. Here in this breath. Here in this body. Here in the quiet willingness to soften. Here in the decision to stop feeding the old panic. Here in the calm energy that says, I am open, I am listening, I am guided, and I do not need to lose myself to be blessed. Let that be enough for this moment, not forever, just this moment. Let your body feel the relief of not solving everything right now. Let your mind rest from its endless courtroom. Let your heart know that it does not have to audition for love today. Let your spirit remember that peace is not something you chase. Peace is something you return to, breath by breath, choice by choice, moment by moment. And if the old worry rises again, meet it gently. Say, I know you are trying to protect me. Say, thank you for caring. Say, we are learning calm now. Say, we do not have to be bothered in the old way. There is no need to fight yourself. The fight is what kept the pattern alive. Love begins to change it. And as love changes it, your field becomes softer. Your decisions become cleaner. Your words become fewer and truer. Your waiting becomes less desperate. Your receiving becomes less frightening. Your life becomes less about proving and more about allowing what is deeply aligned to recognize you. You are not chasing the miracle. You are becoming calm enough to notice where grace is already moving. And grace may be moving in the quiet, in the pause, in the delay, in the redirection, in the breath you almost overlooked, in the self-respect you are finally choosing, in the peace you are no longer willing to trade. Stay with that. Stay with yourself. Stay with the calm that does not need to announce itself. Stay with the part of you that knows you are worthy before the evidence arrives. Stay with the sacred steadiness that has been waiting beneath the noise. You do not have to become unbothered all at once. You only have to return once more than you leave. and each return becomes a doorway. Each doorway becomes a practice. Each practice becomes a new energy, and that new energy becomes the place where miracles feel welcome.